Imagine being told you're not good enough, not pretty enough, not normal enough. Before the world knew her as Lady Gaga, she was just Stefani Germanotta, a girl from New York chasing a dream that seemed impossible. She was rejected, dropped by her first label, laughed at for being too weird. But pain has a strange way of creating something powerful, because the same girl they rejected would go on to shock the world, redefine music, and turn her pain into art. But behind the outrageous outfits, behind the fame, there was a story no one really saw. A story of heartbreak, of identity, of feeling like she didn't belong anywhere. And when love finally came into her life, it didn't save her the way she hoped. This is not just the story of Lady Gaga's success. This is the story of how pain built her, how fame almost broke her, and how she kept reinventing herself to survive. Because sometimes, to become who you are meant to be, you have to lose yourself first. Stefani Jo and Angelina Germanotta was born in New York City into a relatively comfortable family. From a young age, she showed signs of something different. She wasn't just talented, she was intense, emotional, deep. She felt things more than others. At school, she didn't fit in. She was often bullied, called weird, too loud, too dramatic. But inside her mind, she was already creating a world where she could be anyone. Music became her escape. She learned piano at a young age, writing songs that reflected emotions most teenagers couldn't even understand yet. But the real world wasn't as kind as her imagination. When she stepped into the music industry, reality hit hard. She was signed early and then suddenly dropped. Just like that. No explanation. No second chance. That moment could have ended everything. But instead, it changed her. Stefani realized something powerful. If the world didn't accept her, she would create a version of herself they couldn't ignore. And that's when Lady Gaga was born. She wasn't just a singer anymore. She became a statement. Outrageous fashion, bold performances, fearless identity. People didn't just listen to her, they reacted to her. Songs like Just Dance and Poker Face exploded globally. Suddenly, the girl who was once rejected became unavoidable. But fame came with a price. Behind the spotlight, Gaga was struggling deeply with identity. Who is she really? Stefani or Gaga? The lines started to blur. And then came love. She entered relationships hoping to find stability in a life that was constantly chaotic. One of her most well-known relationships was with actor Taylor Kinney. For a while, it felt like balance. Someone who loved her beyond the fame. They got engaged. The world thought, finally, she found happiness. But love isn't always enough. As her career demanded more, as her identity continued to evolve, the relationship began to break. Eventually, they separated. Another heartbreak, another loss. And it hit her harder than people realized. Because for someone who already struggled with belonging, losing love felt like losing the last piece of normal life. At the same time, Gaga was battling physical and mental pain. She later opened up about trauma, depression, and chronic illness. Fame had given her everything, but it was also taking everything away. And then something changed. Instead of hiding her pain, she started speaking about it. Openly, fearlessly. She became a voice for mental health, for outsiders, for people who felt broken. Her music changed too. It became deeper, more raw, more human. Then came one of her biggest reinventions: acting. When she starred in A Star Is Born alongside Bradley Cooper, people saw a completely different side of her. No crazy costumes, no shock value, just emotion. Real, pure, painful emotion. And the world loved it. She won awards, respect, recognition not just as a performer, but as an artist. But even during this success, rumors, pressures, expectations, they never stopped. Because once you become an icon, people stop seeing you as human. And that's the hardest part of fame. You're loved by millions, but still feel alone. Yet Gaga did something rare. She didn't let one version of herself define her. She kept evolving, reinventing, growing, because she understood something most people don't. You don't find yourself once. You create yourself again and again. And maybe that's her greatest success. Not the awards, not the fame, but the courage to keep going, even when everything inside you feels broken. They say fame gives you everything: money, power, love. But what if it also takes everything away? Because behind the bold outfits, behind the shocking performances, there are secrets Lady Gaga never showed the world. Secrets of pain, secrets of fear, secrets that almost broke her completely. Before she became Lady Gaga, Stefani Germanotta was hiding something. A deep insecurity. She didn't feel beautiful. She didn't feel accepted. And no matter how hard she tried, she felt like she didn't belong anywhere. Even in a room full of people, she felt alone. But that was just the beginning. One of the darkest secrets she later revealed was something that changed her forever. At just 19 years old, she went through a traumatic experience that she kept hidden for years. She didn't talk about it. She didn't process it. Instead, she buried it deep inside and turned that pain into music. But pain doesn't disappear. It waits. And for Gaga, it came back in ways she never expected. Fame made everything louder. The pressure, the expectations, the fear of losing everything she worked for. And slowly, she started losing herself. There was a time when Lady Gaga admitted she didn't even know who she was anymore. Was she Stefani? Or was she just a character the world created? And that identity confusion became one of her biggest struggles. Because imagine waking up every day and not recognizing the person you've become. But that's not the secret people talk about the most. The real secret is what fame did to her mentally. Behind the cameras, behind the millions of fans, she was dealing with depression, anxiety, and a constant feeling of emptiness. There were nights she felt completely alone, even at the peak of her success. Think about that. Millions of people screaming your name, and still feeling like no one truly knows you. But it didn't stop there. Her body started breaking down too. She was diagnosed with a chronic pain condition, fibromyalgia, a condition that causes intense physical pain, sometimes so severe she couldn't even move. Yet she kept performing, smiling on stage, while silently suffering, because the show must go on, right? That's what the world expects. And maybe that's one of the darkest truths of fame. You're not allowed to break, even when you're falling apart. Then there's her love life. From the outside, it looked perfect. Her relationship with Taylor Kinney seemed like a fairy tale. They were in love. They were engaged. Fans thought, this is it. She finally found happiness. But the truth? Fame got in the way. Busy schedules, emotional distance, pressure from the outside world. And eventually, it fell apart. Another heartbreak. Another reminder that even love couldn't survive the chaos of her life. And here's a secret most people don't realize. Lady Gaga didn't just create a stage persona for fun. She created Gaga to protect Stefani. Because Stefani was vulnerable, hurt, broken. But Gaga was fearless, unstoppable, untouchable. It was never just art. It was survival. A shield against the world. But the problem with wearing a mask for too long is that you forget what's underneath. And Gaga almost did. There were moments she wanted to walk away from everything. The fame, the music, the pressure. because it became too much, too heavy, too painful. But instead of quitting, she made a choice to face her truth, to speak about her trauma, to open up about mental health, to show the world that even the strongest people struggle. And that's when everything changed, because her biggest secret became her biggest strength. She stopped hiding and started healing. But even today, one question still remains. How much of Lady Gaga is real? And how much of her is still a mask? Because sometimes, the strongest people you see are the ones fighting the hardest battles you'll never fully understand. If there's one thing you should learn from Lady Gaga's story, it's this. You don't need to be accepted by everyone to become successful. In fact, sometimes rejection is the beginning. Stop trying to fit into places where you don't belong. Your uniqueness, the thing people laugh at, might be your biggest strength. And about love, don't lose yourself trying to keep someone. The right person won't ask you to choose between your dreams and them. Also, take care of your mental health. Success means nothing if you're not okay inside. Talk, express, heal. Because at the end of the day, your greatest project is you.